All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Veronica Oplins. I'm co-chair of the Center City Residents Association Zoning Committee. Thank you for your patience. We're going to begin our meeting now. Welcome to the Center City Residents Association Zoning Committee. The CCRA is a 75-plus-year-old nonprofit civic association. As a nonprofit, we encourage everyone to become a member, which can easily be done through our website. There are several benefits to being a member, one of which is being notified of all proposed zoning changes within our area. CCRA is the recognized registered community organization, RCO, for our area. Our boundaries are from South Street to JFK and Broad Street to the Schuylkill River. Our committee works as follows. First, applicants are to present. We ask applicants address the specific refusals or referrals. We ask for no interruptions as applicants give their full presentation. After the presentation, the zoning committee will have a chance to ask questions. After the zoning committee's questions are completed, we open the meeting to the community. When addressed, we ask that you state your name and address. We ask that you keep your questions succinct and to the variance being discussed. We also ask that people not repeat others' questions. If you agree with someone's position, you're welcome to simply state that you agree. If there's a spokesperson for the neighbors, we ask that this person speak for the group first. After we hear from all applicants and listen to the community comments, our committee meets in closed session, and we vote in one of three ways: oppose, not oppose, not oppose with provisos. CCRA never votes in favor of any application. Our decision is emailed to the council person, to the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, and the applicant, and is posted on the CCRA website. Important, no matter how we decide, if you are concerned with a project, we strongly recommend that you attend the ZBA hearing for that project. This is the best way to make your concerns known. The CCRA Zoning Committee cannot express the neighbor's point of view. Only a property owner or aggrieved individual may express their personal concerns to the ZBA. And with that said, we will move to our applicants. Now, I'd like to let everybody know we have only one property that we're hearing tonight, and that is 2048 Rittenhouse Square. Previously, we had thought we would hear 1601 to 1605 Walnut Street, but they asked to postpone at the last minute. So we're hearing one property, 2048 Rittenhouse Square. This is zone CMX1, and this is an application for a sit-down restaurant in an existing structure with other existing uses in the structure as previously approved. And this is a refusal. And as a reminder, a refusal, the burden is on the applicant to demonstrate why the committee should accept the zoning change. So this is a refusal, and the code section title, this is uses allowed in commercial districts. The reason for the refusal is the proposed use, eating and drinking establishment, sit-down restaurant, is prohibited in this zoning district. So with that, I would like to turn the floor over to 2048 Rittenhouse Square. I'm looking for their representative.
No, be me. Good evening, everybody. Hello. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm sorry I didn't see you right there, but
that's okay. No problem.
I'd like to turn the floor over to you, and we will hear your presentation.
Thank you. My name is Stephanie Magana, and I'm an attorney with Claire Harrison. I'm here tonight on behalf of Chad and Hannah Williams, who are also joining us this evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're proposing, and then I'll make myself and Chad and Hannah available for any questions. So let me share my screen here for a moment. Go. Excuse me. So this application, as I said, is, can you see me?
No, I'm sorry, we don't see your screen yet.
I'm sorry about that. How about now?
We do now, thank you.
Good, okay, sorry about that. So yes, I'm joined by Chad and Hannah this evening. They are the proprietors for the existing restaurant that's located here at 21st and Rittenhouse Square. This is 261 South 21st Street, and this is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. An existing restaurant in this neighborhood for many years. recently awarded with the James Beard Award. They have been very successful here. They're also on the shortlist for another nationally recognized award as well. So they have been very successful at this location. And even prior to this being Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the corner property has been a restaurant for many years. But due to their success, Chad and Hannah are looking to expand their operations into the immediately adjacent property down Rittenhouse Square at 248 Rittenhouse Square, which is the subject property for this application. So we are seeking approval for use of this existing building immediately butting the back end of the existing restaurant for use as a sit-down restaurant to expand the restaurant that currently exists into this location. And I'll expand on that in a little bit. This existing building is existing. It's a current residence, and Chad and Hannah are under agreement with the existing owner to purchase this property from her, pending the outcome of this application, to use it as an expansion of their existing restaurant operations. Here is a proposal of what they're looking to do. So their proposal is to renovate the existing structure in the interior of the structure, and the only external changes that would be made would be to, appoint the facade of this existing building and make minor updates. And those, of course, would be consistent with the historical character of this current building and with the neighborhood as well. The other improvements internal would be a full renovation and a connection at the second and the third floor. So this application would be to use the two properties pursuant to a unity of use as a sit-down restaurant. And because this property is located in the CMX1 district, sit-down restaurants are not permitted. The zoning for 2048 Rittenhouse Square is the same CMX1 zoning as the location of the existing restaurant. So we are seeking a refusal to use this property consistent with the adjacent property as well. Here's a copy of our refusal, which should have been attached to the notice letter that went out from my office to the most near neighbors to this site. And again, so the proposal, they've been very successful at the existing location, but they're looking to have more space. And because this property abuts some of the back of house facilities, including the trash storage that's located on Rittenhouse Square and some of the pickups and loading, this property is arguably the most affected by the existing operations at the current restaurant. So it is the most logical expansion for the existing restaurant. And again, this would function as part of the existing facility and operate as one building. It would allow them to put more of their a la carte menu operations, this is the current plan, into the existing facility and allow some of their tasting menu and other menu operations to expand into this. But it would be part of the same operations, which I do think is important to note, because this is not a new concept coming in. Chad and Hannah have been operating at this location for many years very successfully. So they are not only familiar with the traditional issues that come up for restaurant operations in the city, but very familiar with the specific operations at this site. I'm going to show you some of the other proposals. So this is a rendering of the outside. As I mentioned, the exterior of the building would receive minor updates and appointments consistent with the historical character of this building. And here's a rendering of the interior of what's proposed. This would be part of the new space that's proposed. Here's a floor plan, so you can more easily see that this is the existing restaurant, and this is the first floor of the space where the expansion is proposed at 2048 Rittenhouse. There would be kitchen operations in the new facility. This is the private dining room, and I think the kitchen is shown better on this plan. So there would be kitchen facilities in the new building. I think my understanding is that they will share some kitchen back and forth with the existing facility as well. But you'll see that the two buildings will be connected near the front of the building, internal to the site. So there'll be no external changes showing that connection, but just internal to the building, they would connect and operate as one facility. Just go through some of our floor plans. If anybody has any questions about a specific layout, I'm happy to go back. And here's just a drawing of the new windows and door that's proposed for the exterior of the space. And then I have existing pictures of what's there. So the proposal for this space would share deliveries and operations with what's already existing. So no increase in the loading or unloading operations, trash pickup, all of that is going to be shared by the existing restaurant. So they would just expand the operations of what's already happening. So we're not bringing in new commercial trash pickup, which happens daily on site. It's going to share off of the existing restaurant. So in terms of impact to the neighborhood, because this is going to be operated on the site of the existing restaurant, those operations are going to be the same. The feeling is going to be the same because it's going to be able to piggyback off of what's there. And as a broader view, so this block itself is mixed use. There are retail shops and offices along this block, as well as further down some multifamily. So this is a mixed use block. And as I said, this property is arguably the most affected by the existing restaurant that's there, which has been there for many years and is existing. So, and in addition to sharing its operations, we anticipate that there would be this would be very suited to the building and not have any disparate impacts to our neighbors as well. The last thing I'll say is that Hannah and Chad have gone around the neighborhood and have taken lots of time to reach out to our near neighbors and explain what we're proposing here. So I'm happy that we have included in some of the materials that got sent around to CCRA ahead of this meeting, copies of letters of support from many of our neighbors, including most of our immediately abutting neighbors that support the application and the project. But certainly if anybody has any specific questions, including these neighbors, we're more than happy to answer those now. So with that, I'll stop talking and I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you so much. What we'll do is, and so thank you for that very clear presentation. What we'll do now is we'll open it up to questions from the committee, and then we'll open it up to the public at large. So can I start with Bob Lane, please? We'll move, Bob, if you can open us up with any committee questions, and then I'll open it up to the rest of the committee.
Sure. Thank you, Veronica. Stephanie, really terrific presentation. I will say that I moved into this area, into this neighborhood, just within a few blocks in 1978. So what's that, over 45 years ago? If I recall, Weaver Lily had opened up Friday, Saturday, Sunday a few years before that. I don't remember, 3 or 4 or 5 years before that. But it was still, it's always been a hot and successful, terrific restaurant. To be honest, Hannah and Chad, I haven't been in there since you've taken it on, but I hear great things about it. Having said that, as a restaurant goer or patron, I think your restaurant's terrific. As a member of this committee and otherwise, based on what I just said, the restaurant is operated incredibly successfully for 45 years or more. And the question for you is, what's the hardship? What is the compelling reason other than business expansion? You know, we're all in favor of businesses expanding, but other than business expansion, which is not a legal hardship for zoning purposes, is there, Stephanie, or to your clients, what would be the hardship, or what's the compelling reason why this needs to happen, other than because the business is successful after all these years and wants to grow?
Yeah,
Which
so
we understand that. Yeah.
I'll answer first, and then I'll let Chad and Hannah explain, you know, more practically the reasons for this. In addition to supporting an existing successful business at this location, which I think is something you acknowledge we all want to support, the immediate property, the subject property here, has been owned by the same family and by the same person for many decades, since, from what I can see, the 80s. So it's, you know, certainly it's an existing residence. It has been, but it's been, there are renovations needed to the property. I think she's looking to sell the property. And because of its location to the restaurant, it is the most directly impacted by the restaurant. The restaurant is existing and it's legal, but it shares a sidewalk with our trash, our facilities, the loading, the unloading that happens. So it is directly impacted, which negatively impacts its, you know, viability as a long-term single-family residence looking to turn over from somebody who's been there to sell it to somebody else. That and the changing uses in the neighborhood where it's become more mixed use. There's been, you know, commercial retail on the ground floor, makes this particular site suited for a commercial use consistent with the one next door. In particular to Chad and Hannah, outside of just making this building a restaurant, because it's going to operate in conjunction with the existing restaurant, as I said, it's going to piggyback off of the existing operations that are there. So the impacts to the neighbors are negligible because the operations that are associated with living next to a restaurant exist. And this won't have any additional expansion upon that to change the use of this location. With that, I'll let Chad and Hannah kind of explain more of the practical reasons for why this is necessary.
Yeah, I guess going into this space, it'll just be an expansion of the current operations. No new deliveries. Just every delivery we have will be a touch bigger. We share employees. We share infrastructure inside, and we just think it'd be the perfect addition for the neighborhood. Like we're doing something more upscale than we do now, so we don't imagine much heavier traffic than what we bring in. Maybe a few dozen people a night, so there's not going to be a giant influx of new patrons on the street. It's just more adding to what this neighborhood has been for the last 50 years, which is a destination.
But Bob, to answer your question a little bit more directly, why do we want to do this? As we've had this successful restaurant running for quite some time. As a chef owner, Chad, certainly has a vision to do something beyond what we're currently doing. And we have been looking for alternate locations for quite some time for us to expand and create new jobs and maintain staff and have a place for people to grow. And we have never really found a place that kind of makes sense for us, because a lot of what makes our restaurant ours is that we are here, we're owner operators. And so to be able to expand to the neighboring building allows us to expand in that way and maintain staff and create places for people to grow, and allow Chad to expand on his tasting menu and what he wants to do, and allow us both to continue to be present operators in one place.
Yep. I totally understand why it's good for your business, and I get that. Thanks so much, Veronica, whoever else
All right.
says. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'd like to open the floor now up to other zoning committee members who would like to ask questions. And can I ask each of you just to raise your hand, and I'll be happy to call on you. Ben Zuckerman?
Yeah, a couple things. I think it's pretty clear, but there's no ingress or egress from the restaurant through this addition. Is that correct?
At the second and the third floor. So this
Yeah,
application,
no, but I mean from the streets, from outside.
there's going to be a separate entrance for the restaurant on Rittenhouse Square. So the new space at 2048 will have its own entrance on Rittenhouse Square. There's the existing restaurant to the building on 21st Street, the existing restaurant, and this will have a new entrance as well. At the second and the third floor, the buildings are going to connect. So there's some facilities like ADA bathrooms and other, and staff will be able to connect to the buildings between the second and the third floor. But at the ground floor, there's no immediate connection, and there's two different entrances provided. So for visitors and guests who are experiencing the different kind of offerings that Chad and Hannah want to provide, whether it's their a la carte menu or their tasting menu, they can visit the different appropriate entrance.
Okay. Currently, where is the trash stored, and how and when is it picked up?
Our trash is stored on Rittenhouse in the trash bins we have externally, which have been there for, I think, the last 30, 40 years. And we do have an excess of space that will accommodate what we need to do now. So currently it's picked up 6 days a week around 8:30 to 9 a.m. So it's not in the morning. And there's more than enough space to accommodate the extra trash we'll have.
As you can see in the street view there, there's a trash enclosure that we've built. It's shingled. It looks like kind of like a shed, and that's where the trash bins are stored.
Well, you should be aware that we have a set of standard conditions that have applied to restaurants for a long time. And one of those standard conditions is that trash is to be stored internally in a restaurant or commercial establishment and picked up by a reputable trash holder, not before 7 a.m. Monday through Friday or 8 a.m. on weekends.
Correct.
I'm not sure what you just described complies with that. Could you say
so
it's
Ben,
stored?
I'm very familiar with those provisos, and I believe that on every single other restaurant application, not only myself, but that my office has had, that has been a proviso. I will say that the reason we would ask for a deviation in this case is because this is an expansion of an existing restaurant. So we are using the existing facilities that don't meet those standards, but that can accommodate the additional trash that would be associated with this use, and that has operated, successfully at this location for many years. So that would be the factual reason we'd be asking for a difference here. But I appreciate and understand the request.
And how frequently is the trash picked up?
6 days a week.
Okay, and deliveries, where do they come from?
At the entrance on 2050 Rittenhouse.
On 21st Street or deliveries?
2050
Not on
Rittenhouse Square. Road.
On Rittenhouse Square Road, deliveries are received on
so
Rittenhouse Square Road.
deliveries currently also come through Rittenhouse Square.
Correct.
Yes. And they would
Okay.
come through the same location. That would not change.
Yeah, but that would
Okay.
be, to clarify, so they're simply going to be ordering, and Chad and Hannah, jump in, they're going to be ordering more of what they need because they'll have more space for more patrons.
Correct.
It's not
It wouldn't
going to
be
an additional delivery.
It wouldn't be additional purveyors. It wouldn't be additional deliveries. Just
Yeah, I understand that.
the volume of each delivery would be, 20% larger.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ben Weinraub, you had your hand raised? I'll go in the order.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Great presentation. Appreciate it. Would love to be able to get a table more often too. That being said, 3 quick questions. In the responses from the immediate neighbors, I didn't see, the first question is, did you get one from 2046 Rittenhouse Square Street? Second question is, am I correct in understanding that, like the existing, only the first floor would be accessible for ADA, someone in a wheelchair or walker or so forth? And number 3, kind of to tack on to Ben's comment, any chance that you'd be willing, that last, I'll call it little trash storage, you're like 5 feet from your proposed new entrance, as well as our standard provisos ask for ducting through the roof, which obviously I know you're grandfathered in on the old one, but it's on the facade. Any opportunity with this new work to take that inside and go through the roof and kind of clean up your new entrance and visibility for
Let me
them?
take one at a time based on my memory, and correct me if I misremember. So on your screen right now is our letter of support from 2046 Rittenhouse Square. So we actually have one from 2046, 2044, 265, 267, 269, and then the neighbors across the street as well. So I won't go through the whole list, but almost all of our immediately abutting neighbors, we have letters of support from.
Great.
In
Was
terms
just concerned with 2046 because they're the only ones who are going to get the noise. But so as long as you have that, I appreciate.
Yep, we have that one and 2044 as well. Now let me select floor plans here. So there is an ADA bathroom on the ground floor of the new space. And there is the exhaust vent to the roof as well. That's
Right,
in
but
line
no
with-
provisions to access second and third floor.
So the second
No,
and
but
third floor.
the entire experience that we're going to offer, which is the tasting menu and a higher end dining experience, is being offered on that first floor for anybody who would like to come and enjoy. So there's no change in the experience you could have.
As well as the lounge function on the third floor is offered elsewhere.
That's just dessert. That's an option. So that's more of an operational piece where we're able to move. This is maybe not great for the customer, but we're able to move customers out of their savory dining experience into the pastry and then begin a new savory course. So instead of having say a 9:30 seating at a restaurant, our last seating is at 8 o'clock. So that's not so much of an experiential thing as a operational piece where we can keep those windows tight where we're not trying to fill a 9:30 reservation. So it sounds great for the for the guests, but in reality, it's so we can get them moving along. The experience is so much the hospitality and food that we bring, and we can offer that on any floor.
And I'm sorry, what was your last question?
That last kind of little trash bin and the existing exhaust, any chance to relocate these with the work that's going to happen?
So the new building, all the exhaust is through the interior of the building. We're not adding anything on there. I don't have an answer for being able to put that in the new structure, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to now turn to Joyce Lee.
Thank you for the presentations. I just have a couple of questions about numbers. Your current restaurant capacity is how many people, and how many people are you adding? It looks like it's more than 100% increase, but you can tell me the number. And
Yeah,
then,
so we seat
go ahead.
upstairs about 40 folks. And then the experience we'll offer, like I said, we kind of move people through the building. So we'll seat 18 people at a time. So how it works is you come in, you have a welcome snack, you move upstairs, we kind of move you through the space. That private dining is I think about 18 folks, 18 to 20 on the bottom there. So how the seats we have are meant for a multi kind of floor experience, not necessarily seating the whole space at one time, even though the space is available.
Okay, so when you say 18, it sounds like it's about 100% increase with
Or less than
the
that, but
addition.
yeah.
Second question on the numbers, I didn't get a chance to count how many people submit support letters or no objection letters.
Stephanie, I'm not exactly
Yeah,
sure
hold
how
on.
many letters there were.
I have 15.
15 and more to come. We weren't able to get everybody to sign, but we've been operating now for close to 9 years in the space and have built a really great relationship with the majority of our neighbors here.
Yeah, so 14 different of our immediate neighbors, the 14
Immediate,
different properties
immediate.
have
Yeah.
provide immediate neighbors. 14 different immediate neighbors have offered letters of support.
Maybe one last question. The drop off in the future, both entrances, you would expect drop off from cars?
I think we would probably have drop off for like taxi and Uber just be at our Friday, Saturday, Sunday location, which is at the corner of 21st and Rittenhouse. There's an area to kind of pull over there. And so, we would recommend that be drop off and pick up for everyone.
Okay,
And,
thank you.
and yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
No, this is just before, this has been a higher end dining experience. So, drop off has been pretty infrequent. It's not, like we have a huge volume of folks on the street.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sam Gordon, I see your hand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, I have tremendous respect for what you've done to the restaurant and your awards, but also have respect for the neighborhood. So we're here to deal with them, help make sure they're okay. So the trash container, the large one to the west, has been there at least since 2009. I understand that was there before you bought the building.
Correct.
So that's existing. The other trash container appears to have been built between October 2019 and November of 2020. So that would mean it was built by the current owners. Did you get a permit for that?
That is not trash. That is just storage.
If I'm being honest, during the pandemic, I was pregnant and we lived above the restaurant, and that was actually built as a stroller enclosure for me because I couldn't lift my stroller up 3 flights of stairs to live above the restaurant. So there is no trash that is in that. Currently, we use that for storage for charcoal for our small grills. And prior to that, it was used as a stroller house for our child.
Okay.
And no trash is ever to live in there.
Correct.
Okay.
It is the intention, just on a broader scope, to make sure that all of the improvements and the changes that we're making are either to maintain what's existing as the preference, and then certainly to make sure that we're not impacting the shared courtyard here with our adjacent neighbors. So that is important to us and part of the proposal.
Okay. Is this new facility going to be operated under a different name, or is it going to be operated as Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Everything will sort of live under the umbrella of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Our plan is that, the tasting menu that we currently offer at Friday, Saturday, Sunday will move to the new location. and that, you know, current Friday, Saturday, Sunday will sort of exist in more of our original a la carte format, but you would go to one Resi site to book both restaurants. You can either book a tasting menu experience or you can book a regular a la carte experience. It's all under one umbrella.
Yeah. So
Oh.
because the buildings are being shared and they're open at the second and the third floor, between the two spaces are connected. Like I said, that the specific design of our plans has kind of evolved since we filed the application, but our intention is to clarify to the zoning board that this application is pursuant to a unity of use. So the property would function as one property, one zoning, and one operation. So it's not, you know, it would all live under the umbrella of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then going forward, it all live under the operation of one facility.
But if I'm coming to this new, if I have a reservation for the old space, I come in off of 21st Street.
Correct.
And if I have a reservation for this space, I'm coming in off of Rittenhouse Square Street, correct?
Right. It's
Correct.
preferred, but you could come in either.
But there's no connection, and I know your kitchen is blocking it, so you can't have a connection on the first floor. Is a connection on the second and third floor mainly for staff or for patrons?
Mainly, but accessible to both.
Okay, so it's okay. It's pretty much operating as a separate restaurant, but
Not necessarily.
Think of it
No,
as having different experiences under the same umbrella.
correct.
okay.
So you can sit at the bar or you can sit in the dining room. You have a choice of different experiences within the same facility.
Okay. Okay. I think that completes my questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I see Charles Robin, did you have your hand raised?
Well, it was just answered both by Stephanie and Sam. My question was that there would be a breach in the party walls on the second and third floor, and would there be a second entrance on Rittenhouse Square Street? So both those were answered by the previous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other committee members who would like to ask questions? Can you please raise your hand or at this point unmute yourself? Again, this is for committee members. Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to the community. So if you're a community member and you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. The raise hand feature is at the bottom of your screen. I see, and when I'll call on you in the order that I see your hands go up. When I call on you, please state your name and address.
Veronica, this is Bob. I'm sorry we passed the committee, but I just have read all the letters. A lot of the people who are on there from the community have sent letters of support. And if they have, do they need to reiterate their support verbally, or can we just take it as already done?
If community members wish to unmute themselves and state a very short, 5-second moment statement of support, that's fine. What we do want to foreground is we want to foreground any questions or any broader issues that people may have. There's no need for people to explicitly repeat what they've already shared, but we do want to hear from people who wish to speak. Now, we do have a lot of people here on the call, so we ask that you keep your questions succinct and to the point. So Gordon, I'll call on you first, and if you can please unmute yourself and also state your name and your full name and your address for us, please.
Yeah, sorry about that. I jumped in out of turn earlier. I didn't realize it was not for committee. So I'm Gordon Grant, resident at 2020 Rittenhouse Square. Been there since 2013. My comment was really just to say for everyone's consideration, don't just look at the plans, but look at how people behave. I think Chad and Hannah are exemplary members of the community. I mean, you look at how they've done things like waste management, organization, logistics. It's been a far more pleasant, exceptional, and superior experience to see what they've done with their business compared to, let's say, the multi-unit housing properties that are managed by Steven Savitz, where there's often trash on the streets, trash in the stairwells, refuse that's left in the middle of the street. I think you could almost eat off the sidewalks at Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not that I'm suggesting that you do, but I really just have to applaud Chad and Hannah for what they've done to anchor that side of the street. And it's really been a pleasure. And I would encourage everyone to think about that in terms of what's good for the community. And what's good for the community is them owning, controlling, and maintaining more real estate and looking after it in the way that they have thus far. So really bravo to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. So it sounds like no question, simply a statement of support. Fred, can you please, you'll be next.
Yes, good evening. I'm Fred Crone. I live at 2021 Rittenhouse Square since 77, and actually supported Weaver Lily's first application for a liquor license way back in the olden days. And all I can say to Chad and Hannah is cheers. My complete support. They run a beautiful organization. And my loquacious neighbor, Mr. Gordon Grant, who's never been known to be short of words, really summed it up beautifully. So my complete support. Right. There's nothing negative for me to say. And if I had something negative to say, I certainly would. But they're doing a great job.
All right, thank you. Our next person, and apologies for any mispronunciation, is not the Samsung that is just joining our group, but the name will come back to me. Chris Arasin. Apologies for any mispronunciations. So Chris, if you can unmute yourself and state your name and address. Yes, hello.
Can you hear me or no?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Thank you. Hi, I'm Chris Arison. I live at 255 South 21st Street. I've lived there since 2000. Have eaten at the restaurant. It's a great restaurant. I do have to say, though, that I'm concerned about hearing about the separate entrance on Rittenhouse Street. There aren't a lot of spots for Uber or Lyft to go. And what if there's a backup? You're creating potentially huge traffic jams. You know, I often go down that street. 21st Street is a different story. There are very often, I walk by all the time, people there waiting for Uber or Lyft. But 21st Street is 2 lanes. There's that little, it's not an official parking spot, but you can park briefly for an Uber or Lyft to pick someone up in front of the restaurant. But you'll be blocking the access to 21st Street if you have a line of cars on Rittenhouse Street. And I was wondering if you've thought about that.
So, hi, Chris, and certainly thank you for the kind words. We are not intending to change our geotag location. Currently, our geotag location is Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 261 South 21st Street. All Ubers and Lyfts are called to that location. I don't anticipate there being a vast increase in the number of vehicles that would be coming. As Chad mentioned earlier, what we're proposing to do in this space is a more sort of refined experience for only 18 people at a seating. So our current restaurant, you know, we have 40 seats upstairs plus a 13-seat bar, which quite often is more than that.
We see upwards of 200 people a night, where this one would be capped. There is no standing room. In reality, the number of guests per night would be a quarter to, I would say, 10% of what we see through our bar. I know in the seated plans, it looks like it would be equal, but in reality, it would function much differently.
And just to sort of piggyback on that, like the address 2048 would not be listed as an entrance. You know, you would come to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a host would direct you to the entrance, you know, down the street. So for people who are Ubering or Lyfting, like that wouldn't be a pickup or drop off address.
Okay, thank you. So next, I'd like to ask Alyssa DeVore if she can please unmute herself, correct any mispronunciations of her name, apologies, and share her questions.
Nope, that's correct. I'm Alyssa DeVore. I live with my family at 2016 Rittenhouse Square. It's just a words of support for Chad and Hannah. They are excellent neighbors. They are excellent business owners. They have the nicest looking trash around. So thank you for that. And for all the moms, I can tell you, I wish I had stroller parking like that. So they really are excellent community members. We're lucky to have them as our neighbors. And as far as traffic and parking and things like that, you know, as someone who lives on that block, I have no concerns on, you know, on a Saturday morning with church and with Koresh and all the things happening. It just works itself out, and it's with the few extra patrons that they will have. to me, it's not a concern at all. So
All
I look
righty.
forward to the new location.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go next to Allison. If you can please give us your full name and your address.
Sure. Hi. Yeah. Allison Friedman. I'm at 2028 Locust Street. But the back of our house is on Latimer. And I am just also here to voice extreme support for Hannah and Chad and for the expansion. I know they've been trying to find a place for a while, and I was so excited to get this letter in the mail and hope that everybody in the community feels the same way I do.
Okay, thank you. Rick Spiesman, if you can please unmute yourself and give your address.
Sure. I'm Rick Spiesman. I live at 2012 Rittenhouse Square. I have not had a chance yet to submit a letter of support, but I am here to support on behalf of my wife the proposed variance. I think I'd say a couple of things. One is that, just to be very clear, this is a mixed-use block. There are 6 commercial establishments on this block. There is a nonprofit dance studio. There is a church. There are 2 restaurants. And I really believe that this type of mixed-use commercial and residential creates a better community on this block. Any of you that have read Jane Jacobs know what I'm talking about. And then as far as Chad and Hannah and the way they operate their business, I would just repeat everything that everyone else has said. What they do is exemplary. They bring, nothing but pride to this block, this neighborhood, this city, and just very specifically about the issues that could occur on Rittenhouse Square, where I live. I'm not concerned.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's very clear. May we go next to Jameson Hodge? Again, apologies for any mispronunciation. If you can just unmute yourself and give us your correct pronunciation of your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Jameson Hodge. I live at 256 South 21st Street, directly across the street from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I just want to give my full support. I think this is perfectly reasonable. And just to reiterate on what Rick said, this is already a mixed-use block. So yeah, I just want to give my support.
All right, thank you. We do want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I'd like to ask, is there any other near neighbor who wishes to raise their voice, provide a statement, ask a question about this particular case?
I would like to.
And so what I'm going to ask, please, if I can ask you kindly to just raise your hands, if you can use the raise hand feature. There's so many of you, I would like everybody to be able to speak, but I can't tell who's who. If you don't know how to use the raise hands feature, you could raise your physical hand. I might be able to see you. So I'm not sure who would like to speak. Are there others who wish to speak?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Would you like to go ahead, please?
Sure. Ann Giver. I live at 2038-40, and I operate my business, a women's clothing store, at 2044. So I'm on the block from morning till night, 7 days a week. And Hannah and Chad are unbelievable. They are perfect in every way, respectful. Their trash, as Alyssa said, is perfect. I wish some of the other people on the block had their good habits, and they're very respectful of us. And we really want them to grow their business and succeed. And we all moved on this block when it was a mixed-use building, and we love it for that reason. So I hope that you give them the opportunity to grow.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other near neighbors who wish to speak? Oh, Shari Amster? Did I see your hand? Yes, Shari Amster. And would you like to unmute yourself and go ahead and state what you'd like to state? The unmute function would be at the bottom of your screen. So go ahead, Shari or Sherry. I'm sorry, any mispronunciations? Go ahead. And we don't hear you right now. Can you turn up your volume? And you're currently muted. Now you're unmuted. Okay, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Sherry, I'm going to give you a moment to get your everything together. And for a moment, I'm going to call on Carrie Cohen. Carrie, could you please speak?
All right. Also, here to speak in support of Chad and Hannah. I live at 2033 Rittenhouse Square. I've lived here with my family since 2012. And just, want to echo what everybody else has said. Cooks, staff, patrons have all been so respectful of the neighborhood. I've never been bothered by trash pickup or deliveries. And, Chad and Hannah are amazing neighborhoods, are amazing neighbors. Her daughter goes to our local schools. When I was pregnant with my twins, Chad, who didn't know me from, Joe down the block, brought my couch down from the second floor. And we want them to stay here and create locally owned Class Act businesses like Friday, Saturday, Sunday that can continue to grow. So I just want to echo really everything that everyone here has been saying and truly support their ability to be able to expand.
Okay, thank you. So Shari or Sherry Amster, would you like to speak now? Okay, and we're not hearing you, Shari or Sherry, I'm sorry. Would you be able to put your comments in the chat and then we can read them out loud? Would you be able to do that, please? That will help us get around this technological challenge. Is there any last person from the community who would like to speak? If so, can you please use the raise hand feature?
Okay.
Any last person who would like to speak? Okay.
Thank you.
So seeing none, have I missed any hands? I don't think so. Seeing none, I want to thank everyone for having been here and having participated. I'd like to thank Stephanie Magana and Hannah and Chad Williams for their presentation, which was very clear. We appreciate everyone's having come by and having shared their points of views. Thank you very much. At this point, we're going to close the public portion of the meeting. We want to be respectful of everybody's time, and we will now move to a committee meeting alone. So thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for being here. We look forward to seeing you at the next zoning committee meeting. And again, thank you for the very clear presentation.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. If anybody
you
has
so
any
much.
questions, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's the board or any neighbors, and we'll be back in touch ahead of our ZBA hearing. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
To everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And so now, if you're not a member of the community, please feel free to go ahead and exit the meeting.
How do I do that? Shit.
Leave button at the top.
So I will begin to move people into the waiting room. And right. So if you're not a member of the committee, I invite you to go ahead and leave the meeting. Thank you for having been here.
Looks like they're all gone. So
Yes,
Veronica, I have
yes,
to
let
say
me,
something first.
wait,
You
let me
asked-
turn off the recording.